Okay, okay. Hey. What's happening, everybody? Let me make sure I'm live. Let me make sure I can be seen. Oh, I can be seen. Let me fix my exposure a little bit. White balance. Ew. That's ugly. All right. All right. Okay. It's a little blown out back here. Let me adjust my exposure a little bit, folks. Okay. All right, let me just make sure I can be heard. Let me. Okay. All right, let me just make sure I can be heard. All right, all right. All right, I'm here, guys. All right, ain't nobody here. I know I'll just be saying that. But what up? Okay, let me mute that. Make sure y'all can still hear me. I'm gonna test the audio out real quick on a video.
The growth in black spending power. Frank.
Hey, good morning to you, Andrew. Black spending power reached a record $1.6 trillion in 2021. The ability to buy, save, and invest more than doubling since 2000.
All right. All right. I had to test it all. Okay. All right. I'm here. Okay. Sorry I wasted 2 minutes of your life. Okay. Nobody's here anyway. Let me just pull this up. As you can see what the topic is, let me just click at a couple things here. Let me just click out of a couple of things. I hope my audio's coming in okay. Cool. All right. So I'm just going to go at this. Hey, so as you can see, the topic is, do blacks really have $2.1 trillion to spend? You know, I've heard this, and I remember hearing it long ago when I was looking at documentaries. I want to say it was during the time I was learning more about the Tulsa race riots in Greenwood, in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The race riots that they called it Black Wall Street, where they talked about circulating the dollars and stuff that like that in the actual documentary. But let me fix this real quick. Okay, sorry. It was distracting me. Okay. All right. So they talked about that, circulating your dollars and stuff like that. And I think they may have even talked about the black buying power or something of the sort. And I remember the things that came to my mind at the time was a solution of, okay, well, that means if we want to circulate our dollars, we need to start creating businesses that encompass products and services that we already use today with our current money. Because what I notice is that black people don't have a lot of extra money to spend. We got money to spend, right? Because we all got jobs of some sort to a degree, or we're doing something to make money. But we don't necessarily have a lot of money extra to spend on extra t-shirts that say Black Power, or extra earrings that have the Africa continent on it, which I don't know why you want that. We're in America. But, we don't have a lot of the extra money, but we try to spend what we do, but the myth out there, though, is the reason why black people are in the state that they're in is because they say that we don't have, that we spend too much money, instead of saving the money that we do have. And so I want to debunk that myth because it's allowing us to blame ourselves. I have to try this real quick. Nah. Okay. It's allowing us to blame ourselves for the plight of what goes on in our own community. I'm all about taking accountability on certain things. I'm all about trying to find ways to wake us up and have us make better decisions as black people in America. But at the same time, I'm also not going to blame myself for things that I don't think that we should be blamed for. A lot of economic states that we've been put in were years in the making, and lots of deception within laws and judicial systems and in corporate America and in capitalism and in real estate, housing, all kind of stuff to kind of put us in the positions that we are in today. You know, coming up from new generations, from the people who dealt with it a little bit more on the underhand, we come into it with today's technology, being able to learn about these things and be ready to fight deception whenever it comes our way and try to find new ways to maneuver around these white folks in order to make us another pathway in order to sustain our lives here in America and build wealth as much as we can. But we're not building it. We're trying, but it's very hard because we have to start at the bottom. We have to come from the bottom. We don't really get as much access to capital. If anything is the biggest problem is to black people, it's going to be our access to capital. So I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to go on my little monologue for a bit, and then I'm going to start playing some video clips, and we're going to get into some articles. So I'm not just going to be saying a bunch of shit and then just like, believe me and I'm out. No, I'm going to back, this stuff up. But, there's a myth that we spend way too much money. But you got to think, man, we all know what the national average somewhat is that we're making. Black people make on average between somewhere around $40,000 to $48,000 a year. It changes and depending on which study you're looking at and what years and whatever. But typically we're somewhere around the 40s. $40,000 a year range. And we all know that that's not a lot of money necessarily to take care of all the bills you got to take care of, along with being able to afford a lot of the luxuries and things that people say that we're just indulging in like crazy, which we're not. And I'm going to get into that as well. We're going to do some math here today. We're going to do some math. We're going to do some reading. We're going to do some watching. And we're going to figure this out. And we're going to understand by the end of this that this $2.1 trillion is cool. But then they try to throw it in your face. We got more money than Spain, Portugal. We are the third biggest nation on the earth, and as far as wealth or whatever they're saying. And I'm going to get into some of that too. Wowing you with all these facts and this information and these big numbers. But small things sound big when they're quantified together, when they're added up together and not put into the light that it should be. $1 trillion sounds like a whole lot of money until you start doing some math. Now, it is a whole lot of money. Don't get me wrong. Give me $1 trillion right now, please. But we're going to get into that. So, a lot of things that's going to come to your mind. People are going to say, hey, we spend our money on Jordans too much. Get some stuff out of frame. Spend too much money on Jordan. Spend our money too much on Gucci and Louis Vuitton and all this other extra shit that they see on TV, that they see on rappers and things like that. We can't keep letting the stereotypes that we see put out there by the media be what we accept. We know that the average black person going around here ain't dripped out in Gucci. And we'll try to sit there and say, yeah, I see it all the time. Go to your average church. Most of them niggas ain't got on no luxury items, maybe one luxury item. The pastor might be dripped up, which is a crazy thing. We ain't even gonna get into that. But for the most part, you're not gonna see a bunch of people out there with a bunch of luxury items. You're not gonna go to the parking lot and see everybody in Mercedes, BMWs, Bentleys, Rolls, all this extra. You see some decent looking cars because black people like cars. And I will get into why you see us in some of our best looking stuff, at least when we pop out. You go to the club, you see people pop out to the club. That's when you're gonna pull out your best items. You know what I'm saying? And you might spend a little bit of money on something, but look, we don't spend the most like that all together as a race. You know, there's going to be some numbers that I'm going to show that's going to kind of talk about that. But one thing we got to stop doing is accepting these stereotypes and start really looking at what's around us. Black people mostly around us ain't got bread like that. You go to your average job, your average call center, your average places where black people in masses are working. Them niggas ain't balling like that. You know what I'm saying? We just be, but we'll leave out of that place talking shit like there's a few people up because there might be a few niggas in there that might have a few extra things on them. You know, they always got gold chains on, or, you know, you heard this or that, or you done seen them out here or there and they're flossing. And so you kind of take that and you internalize it and it pisses you off. Probably jealousy, you know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, that has nothing to do with black spending power. And the sooner we can understand this, the sooner we can try to better formulate solutions that can help better our economic state here in America. So let's get into one of the first videos. Let me pull this up. We'll do this.
It is time now for our Equity and Opportunity series, and Frank Holland joins us this morning with a closer look at the growth in black spending power. Frank.
Hey, good morning to you, Andrew. Black spending power reached a record $1.6 trillion in 2021. The ability to buy, save, and invest more than doubling since 2000. That growth exceeding the full.
The ability to buy, save, and invest pretty much doubling. Boy, that sounds like a lot of, and it doubled. And to buy, save, and invest. Not too many black people out there are saving, and damn sure not as many are investing because we ain't got the bread like that. But according to them, there's $1.6 trillion out there. And to y'all might be thinking that, nigga, there is bread. Look at that. Look at that. We got 1.6 trillion. And now it's 2.1 trillion. Well, let's keep listening.
Economy, but actually lagging other ethnic groups, Latinos, with more than doubling since 2000. That growth exceeding the full U.S. economy, but actually lagging other ethnic groups, Latinos, with a 288% increase.
Look at that. That's crazy. Even though we're going up, Latinos are going up and Asians like crazy. Okay. I'm not going to get into that about mass immigration, but there's a whole mass immigration thing going on, and I'm gonna have a whole separate episode about that. It was actually gonna be a two-part episode today about both mass immigration and then leading into this, but I'm just gonna talk about this because this alone is enough to deal with.
Asians with a 388% increase in spending power. However, other groups, they've also seen an increase in their net worth. Black Americans instead have seen their wealth actually fall by 14%. And with the S&P gaining 27% last year, the value of U.S. homes increasing by 31% last year. Many black leaders are asking the black community to really rethink how it spends.
Many black leaders are asking the black people to rethink how you spend. They blaming you immediately. Many of us are saying, hey, nigga, what do you spending your money on?
Save money to purchase the most important asset you'll probably ever own, and that's your home.
First of all, I'm not even going to get into the BET founder, Robert Johnson, but I respect him. You know, he's definitely one of our prominent, wealthy black people in the community. But I'm not going to go too much into the getting a home. I mean, you just got to think about it. I'm going to give a quick thing about it, and then I'm going to move on because it's kind of going to get away from this. But buying a home is not the only way and the foolproof way to create you some wealth. It's just not. In many cases, all they're saying is that, hey, once you've bought this home, you'll be able to sell it later and make some money, but then you still got to have some place to stay. So yeah, you can hold this home over, or you can pass it down, and and they said that's generational wealth, but you still have to pay it off. And in many cases, you're going to get a 30-year loan, and it's going to be a home, especially in today's market, that's overpriced, and then you're going to pay probably 2 times the price of it after you paid all the interest fees and everything from the loan. It's going to take you 30 years. First of all, black people already have a hard time enough coming up with the money for a down payment. I remember trying somewhat to come up with it back in the day. Well, not really. I don't even want to lie because I had other ideas. But, trying to come up with a down payment, first of all, is hard enough for black folks. And then to try to pay that off for 30 years, you got to think about it, man. Even if you do take, and it does say, there's a document, I may have to pull that one up too. It takes about like 5-6 years or so on average, especially for black folks to build up the down payment for a home. So if you think about that, and you got to think about it like this, what age do you start? You don't start typically when you're 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, right? Typically, you're going to start around 25, 26, 27, 28, 30 maybe in some cases, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, unless you started off right out the gate with a great job out of college, out of school, whatever, you already got things, you already got a hole you got to climb out of. But if you're lucky enough to get yourself in a home by, let's just say you're lucky enough to get in there, to start saving up for one by age 23. Let's say it takes you an average of 5 years to get the down payment, unless you got some rich family that's going to help you out. Now you're at 28. Now you got 30 years to pay it off. Now you're at 58. And now you have paid it off, and you have an asset that is worth, let's just say, $200,000. That's not going to carry you into retirement. You can stay in that home, but now you got to, through your retirement, but now you got to, pay for the upkeep and the property taxes and crap like that. And it may not be a whole lot, maybe your 401k or your retirement or your, Social Security or something will help to cover that. But as you can see, it's not like it's building you any crazy wealth. You're not about to retire like crazy. You're not about to, I don't understand where this myth really comes from, except for probably comes from some real estate, agent and companies that want to tell you, oh, man, it's a great way to build wealth. Well, they're thinking about the homes and the land that was sold back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s that people bought for like 30, 40, 50, and now they're able to sell the shit later for $400,000, $500,000, $600,000. And, it ain't been, and even then, that was still like 20, 30 years later. You still got to look at the trade-off. Now, with them, they may have been able to pay it off a lot sooner because it didn't cost as much. So now they have a whole lot more money, to kind of come up on, and they can, maybe take that money, buy another house, and keep some of it and flip it, use it for a business or something like that. But it's not really creating you any wealth. You want to create wealth, you need to do a service or create a product or sell a product, or invest into. I don't even talk about investing in the stocks. I would never talk about that. I will talk badly about it. But you know what? Let me continue on, because I can get on my tangents. Let them continue.
And that to me is equally important. As I said, I put it right up there with arguing or campaigning for supporting voting rights.
I would love to see us spend more money in the stock market instead of.
Yes, let me hear what Angela Yee has to say about our economics. She's very well studied with her juice bar and her tea and her Breakfast Club show. Or I'm sorry, lip service.
buying the hottest new thing, buy the stock of the hottest new thing. And that's something that
No shade to Angela Yee. You know what I'm saying? And Angela Yee's cool. Angela Yee is Angela Yee. But she is not an economic genius. She is not a scholar in economics from some college. She is not somebody in the grassroots who's been rose up through the ranks and been deep into the solution-based advocacy work for Black Americans. There's no reason she should be on a national platform talking about this, but whatever.
is something that you can also pass down generation to generation.
Home ownership is typically the biggest wealth builder in the Black community. That's actually fallen more than 3% since 2000.
Home ownership is the biggest wealth builder. Let's just Google that real quick. Home ownership is the biggest wealth builder. $225,000 over 10 years. I mean, you would need 30 years of that same kind of growth, and it would never just continuously grow to get a 3 times that. I mean, like 225,000 is just not a lot. I mean, it's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. If I can make an extra $255,000, $225,000 over 10 years by some investment, I would do that. But you have to get there first, and then that's with the equity. So you're still paying into your home while you gain that equity. So to me, I mean, it's like, are you really getting anything? Yes. Let's read this real quick. Home ownership is the largest source of. Sounds like I'm clipping quite a bit. Okay. Homeownership is the largest source of wealth among families, with the median value of a primary residence worth about 10 times the median value of financial assets held by families. Housing wealth gains are built up through price appreciation and by paying off the mortgage. At a national level, a homeowner who purchased a single-family existing home 10 years ago would have gained $225,000 in home equity if the home were sold at the median sales home price of $363,000. So it's basically saying, hey, 10 years ago when the price was cheaper, you gained quite a bit more, along with you paying, but you have to, in order to see those gains, you're gonna have to have housing wealth, home equity, or net worth gains are built up through the price appreciation and paying off. And that's what I was gonna say. And this is why I don't pay no attention to some of that stuff. If I put $225,000 in there, okay, I gained $225,000, but that's my $225K. I put that in there. I didn't gain it. Nigga, I was paying this house off. You know what I'm saying? Now, yeah, you can say, well, hey, you could have been paying rent, and you didn't gain none of that, and I understand that. But you still have to sell the house in order to realize those gains, or refinance it and then take that $225,000, which that'd be cool, because it's like, okay, but if you do that at age, let's say if you paid it off at age 58, and then you remortgage it for $200 and you gain your $225,000. Well, you can't live off of that because you have to pay the mortgage now. You have to pay that new refinanced mortgage. And so, unless you're gonna take that $225,000 and flip it, you're not really getting any wealth. It's not wealth. It's not just money sitting in the bank. It's not just some extra. Now, if I already have a home and I have thousands of dollars in the bank, you know, and I buy another home and I pay cash $225,000, and it's worth $225,000, and it stays $225,000 for the next 10 years. That's wealth because it's money that I already had in a bank account that I just put into this home. It is wealth because it's still my wealth. I didn't gain it through anything other than just putting it there. I exchanged some money for the house. So what I'm trying to say is, when you sell products, you're gaining wealth. You're not putting $5 in and getting $5 back. You put $5 in and you're trying to get $20 back. You're trying to get $100 back. You're trying to go out and do a service like cut a yard, spend no money but maybe gasoline in your engine and a little bit of whatever, and you're trying to cut yards and make $100. You know, that's gaining wealth. That's how you bring wealth up. Not by paying shit off. It's a myth. It's a fallacy in my opinion. But let's just keep going.
Annually, black families accumulate $300 billion less in wealth than white families, and they save $75 billion less. The racial wealth gap now at more than $11 trillion. Back over to you.
Frankie, the statistics are startling and fascinating in so many different ways. Do business leaders and other experts have thoughts on how to stop the trend and what's really behind it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, some of it is simply
the statistics are startling and fascinating. You gotta, you have to. Sorry, I don't want my hair to, and I hate when I do my hair like that. It looks kind of suspect, but okay, you got to pay attention to when these people throw these fluff words in, when they put a lot of fluff in there. Man, that's so fascinating and exciting. I mean, 1.6 trillion sounds like an amazing opportunity that cannot be missed at this time. Let's go back.
Ways. Do business leaders and other experts have thoughts on how to stop the trend and what's really behind it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, some of it is simply allocating more capital to assets that at least have the potential to appreciate, things like houses, stocks, and bonds.
Do not listen to these people, okay? Stocks is giving your money to these other people and you saying, hey, let them run the company. That's like, I mean, it's not horrible, but it's like, almost like being an employee. Like, you don't want to you're too lazy to take the time to go out and really try hard to do it. And I don't want to say too lazy. Access to capital is a big portion of what causes black people not to do certain things and take opportunities. But it's just like being an employee. It's like, hey, I don't want to do my own business. I don't want to deal with all this other stuff and try to find customers and come up with this or not. Look, let me just work for you. You give me some of that bread. And we'll be good. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's okay to do that as well. And it's okay to do stocks. But you're telling me our only ways is to either buy something to hold our wealth, put our money in the stock market. What else did he say?
More capital to assets that at least have the potential to appreciate, things like houses, stocks, and bonds.
And bonds. And the bonds just got SVB, whatever bank, Silicon Valley Bank, in trouble, you know, and a lot of these other banks, because they're raising the interest rates. Now, this came out some time ago, a year ago, but they were probably already talking about raising interest rates back then. I think inflation's been going on for quite some time. But either way, that's not a good solution. And just these quick little whatever chopped up soundbite solutions put out there, it just goes to help feed the real estate community, feed the stock community, feed the bonds and whatever. I don't hear a lot of people rushing out to get bonds all the time, black people. But stocks, yeah, that's been a thing that's just been going on a lot here recently. So, like, you can't continuously take these people for their words on their solutions. Man, they don't even know what the hell they're talking about. They just, a lot of times, most of these humans out here are just parroting everything that they've heard from the past. It's just blah blah blah. This that. As if they came up with this shit. As if they critically thought. And you ain't got to come up with everything. Obviously, we don't. We hear it or we see it. But it ain't like you critically thought about something. Really kind of look things up. And when I say look things up, people will just look one thing up real quick and be like, I do research. Look, let me just keep going because I'll get on tangents.
Reasons are systemic, and that's why about 1 out of every 5 black family has a negative net worth right now. Systemic issue.
Look at this. Look at this. And what you gotta do is these people, whole ass motherfucking people, these people will take our wording that we use in the grassroots to explain the systemic issues that they've placed upon us. It's not, we all know we talk about systemic issues. We all know that they set up systems to oppress black people over time. And we've already uncovered that information with different programs and stuff without getting into all of it. But what they love to do in propaganda is to reverse that shit back on you, that same terminology. Yeah. The issues are you spend money in too many different and frivolous ways, and you need to spend your money better, and it's systemic. Now, at this point, it's systemic the way that you spend your money. Oh, that makes me so fucking angry. I ain't even gonna lie to you, dude, because a lot of times people don't catch these things, but they love to do it. The editors and stuff that put this together, they're sitting back there. Oh, y'all, you say there's systemic issues in the black community? Okay, we need to. Okay, let's tell them, no, nigga, you are systemic, nigga. You are the motherfuckers causing the problem. This is how they do. This is how they do over in Ukraine. Russia, or what they say, the pipeline blew up. The United States blew up the pipeline. No, nigga. Putin blew up the motherfucking pipeline. You did this shit. They love to just flip it, And they love to do it on the sneak. Now, the one about the Russia thing, that's a little bit more blatant. But this is on some sneak shit. And yeah, at this point, it's systemic. And the issue, like, listen to that shit. Listen to that shit again.
That at least have the potential to appreciate, things like houses, stocks, and bonds. Other reasons are systemic, and that's why about 1 out of every 5 black.
Who is this nigga? What did they ever say his name? Frank Holland. CNBC. Let me see if I can see this nigga real quick. Let me do this. Frank Holland. You know what? I'm sorry, y'all. Let me go back to this mode. Frank Holland. Correspondent. Bentley U, NBA. Nope. That right there lets you know he's a boule. That right there is fraternity, okay? He could be boule, could just be a lackey for the boules. I'm gonna have to look up more about this guy. I'm sure if we looked at more into what he posts, we'd find okay, I was trying to read it. But either way, I'm gonna look a little bit more into him later, but let's keep finishing.
Issues, redlining in housing, disparities in education, and other issues that are going to take a longer time to address.
Shepard's.
Now, he did try to throw in there a little bit toward the end about, about the other systemic issues, but yeah, I mean, so here we are. That's one clip. Now that tells us about the black buying power, but then we've all heard other ones, right? We've heard other people talk about it real bold.
Hey, now, do you know we brought in $1.3 trillion last year as a people? Out of 226 nations on the earth, that makes black people in America the 8th richest nation.
Oh my God, on earth.
We brought in $600 billion more than Spain.
$600 billion more than Spain. Let's see what the population of Spain is. Population of Spain. 47 million. There's about 47 million black people. We're doing a little bit better than Spain. You know what I'm saying? We're in America.
$100 billion more than Mexico. Yet Spain has 46 million people like we do, and they maintain a 208,000 square mile landmass, and they have their own everything. Mexico has 131,700,000 people, and they're maintaining 771,500
I'm going to get into that.
square miles with half the money we have. Yet they have whole countries.
But Mexico's money is not valued the same as our money, so they're able to build. And it's different when you're able to build things utilizing money from the IMF, utilizing loans, or just utilizing resources that you get yourself. You don't have to, if you grow it yourself, you don't have to pay for it. You may exchange things to the farmer or something through the government or something like that, or people may do service for whatever reasons. But for the most part, it doesn't necessarily have to correlate to the amount of US dollars that you bring in, the fact that you can sustain infrastructure like that. It's not saying that they took that $1.6 trillion and built up the whole goddamn Mexico with it. No. Mexico is built up through many different methods besides IMF loans or, imports, exports, just their normal GDP of normal economics going through, normal commerce going through every day by day commerce. But for the most part, those people are bringing in that current amount of US dollars compared to black US dollars. Now they're bringing it in pesos, and the way that they distribute them, the way that they, distribute it and whatever around their people is just a little bit different than the way we do. Maybe they rent there. I mean, we'll look up rent in Mexico. Shit. First, let's look up a random ass Mexico city. Well, I don't want to do nothing that I would even know about. Let's say, okay, that looks pretty prominent. Monterrey. Let's say apartments for rent. Monterrey. Let's do this. Monterrey, Mexico. Let's just take a couple quick. Well, this is some major city. And see, I'd really want to know amount of money Mexico, value of Mexico. Brings in. Let's just do that. Was estimated 1.3 trillion. Goods and service total at 1.3 trillion. So I mean, there's got to be more to the story. I don't want to. This part I didn't go into too much, but let me just jump back to the topic because I'm gonna get way off.
It is time now for our equity and opportunity series.
Okay, we already seen that. So let's do this. Listen to this. Now this, before we listen to this, these two are going to be the two people who are talking really bad about us.
That's ironic.
How we spend.
Last year, Black America in 2016, we spent $2 billion on Air Jordans. $4 billion.
$2 billion on Air Jordans. Let's pull up a calculator, folks. Calculator. Right. Let me blow this up. But y'all. So there's 47 million people, black people in the United States right now. 1, 2, 3, one more zero. 47 million people, right? And he said we spent $2 billion on Air Jordans. Hundreds, thousands, millions, $2 billion. When you divide that by the population, let's just divide that by half the population. If half the population are males and half the population wanted to spend $2 billion on Air Jordans. Let's divide that by by 20 million. 20 million black people. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 20. All right, all these zeros. That means right there, that means an average we spend is $100 a year on shoes, on Air Jordans, $100. If you cut that 20 mil down to 10 million, let's say it's just 10 million niggas spending on Jordan. That's $200. That's about the amount of the price of Jordans. That means each nigga spends about $200, buys one pair of Jordans a year. And they're telling you, nigga, look, you out here buying all these Jordans, nigga. Now, maybe we all seen a few niggas here and there that might have a whole closet full of Jordans. You know what I'm saying? But for every nigga that has a whole closet full of Jordans, there's probably 50 niggas that ain't got not one pair of Jordans whatsoever because they don't even wear them. So, I mean, that $2 billion on Jordans, when you do the math, is nothing that we spend on Jordans. It sounds like a lot. Y'all niggas spent $2 billion on Jordans. Oh my God. You know, but let this nigga keep talking. Let's go back.
On Air Jordans, $4 billion on liquor and alcohol.
So if it's $4 billion on liquor and alcohol, we just did the math at 20 million people. Let's just keep it at 20 million people. Half the population. That means on average we spend $200 a year on alcohol. I'll spend that on one goddamn meal in alcohol. I'll take a girl out. 5, 6 drinks, 4 drinks later, 2 drinks each and a shot. We damn near almost at the cap. But we don't do this math to see. We really probably, I guess, what are you saying? What are you saying? Something you spend more than that? No, what I'm saying is it don't even look like, it's not even a whole lot in actual numbers. I may spend more on alcohol, going out all the time, hitting up the happy hours and stuff like that. I damn sure spend more than $200 a year. Hit up the liquor store, whatever. But that means that there's a lot of people that don't. Those numbers are actually telling me I'm doing way more. I'm the top of the motherfucking curve. Everybody else is keeping me, you know.
600 million on fast food.
600 million on fast food. You gotta eat. Whatever.
And we bought twice the amount of Mercedes Benzes as white America, although white America has twice the wealth of black folk. So the question,
I would like to see the numbers on that because people just be saying things sometimes. We bought twice the amount of Mercedes Benzes. Like, really? How do you know? And if we did, who cares? It's a vehicle. You know what I'm saying? Because you got that Mercedes, nigga, that's what's dragging you down. Now, don't get me wrong. Some cars can bankrupt some people. You know, if you get a car, it can really hurt you if the payment is way too high, the interest is too high, the maintenance is too much, whatever the case may be. But a lot of times you can recover from it, even if you have to give up a car. It's a 7, and you repo it. It gets repoed. It's about 7 years before you get back on your feet. And you can still find other ways of getting into other things. But not being, if that's not going to help you build wealth even more. Let's just say you got you a Mercedes Benz with an $800 car payment instead of a Mazda with a $300 car payment. $500 a month ain't gonna build you no wealth. It's like basically what they're saying is, hey nigga, get you a Mazda, buy you some Payless shoes, eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and if you can do these things and you still don't have wealth, well nigga, we gotta figure out what else is your fault. It's gotta be some more fault in there for you. God damn.
Becomes, what is it about the Mercedes Benz that makes it so attractive to African Americans even when they can barely afford it? And it's
Cause they nice as fuck, okay? I got a Mercedes Benz and I fucking love it, okay? Because they're nice and we like nice shit, you know? And people try to denigrate us and try to put us in a bad category, a bad light, because we like to have nice things. One thing recently here, I was just back home from where I'm from, and I went to go see my grandma, and she had, this time I'm pulling together photo albums, trying to get a lot of information, but I was looking at the photo of her mom and her dad standing in front of a really nice car. I need to figure out what their car was, what type, but two-tone, red and white, ooh. And black and white photo from the maybe 1930s, 40s. She was born in the 1930s. She was a little girl, so maybe 1940s. And then my papa and his mother. But either way, one, they had a really nice car. Even back then, had a really nice car. And they had really nice outfits on. Real nice, respectable, early 1930s. I may have taken a picture, but I'm not using it. It's on my phone. I didn't transfer it. But either way, when you look at a lot of photos of us back then, we did like to look good. We do like name brand, because typically name brand is typically quality, right? We know that the cheaper shit that you ain't never heard of doesn't mean it ain't good. It just doesn't mean that it ain't. Sometimes it just means it ain't, but there's a lot of times it is not good. There's many a times you bought some stuff cheap and you're like, wow, I don't want to do that again. So not only do we not like it for that reason, but we also like the way it is, the way it looks. I love a Mercedes. Mercedes are my favorite car. I'll own 3 or 4 of them, hopefully, here in my lifetime.
Because it's a status symbol.
Not because it's a status symbol, nigga. Now, don't get me wrong. When I'm rolling in that bitch, I might be like, "Ooh, yeah, I'm out here on these niggas." But I don't want one. I didn't want one because I wanted to have a status. Oh man, now I got my status good. Nah, nigga. As soon as I seen these cars, every time they come out with a new design, some of us just really love the design. They make some of the most well-designed cars on the planet, as well as Rolls-Royce and Bentley. BMW's cool, and Audi, and certain ones. And so you're gonna shame us for loving the people who make some of the best nice cars? That's why they make them. That's why they make them nice. That's why they pay designers to take their time. That's why they pay top designers, put them on their team to design the most intricate of details, or the most fluid, or lines, or whatever the case may be that they make, in order to attract people who love and appreciate the art of what it takes to make a car, or what it takes to make a product. I hate when people say this, you only want a Rolls Royce so you can get bitches. No, I want a Rolls Royce because it's fucking dope. It's the cleanest thing I've ever seen on this planet. Everything in that bitch is real. All the little shiny parts, real metal. All the leather, everything covered leather. Ain't no plastic in this bitch. They got tons of everything, tons of extra piping all on the seats. The ceiling has the stars. It's just so immaculate. None of that has to do with status. None of it has to do with getting women. None of this stuff. Some of these people just are so simple-minded when we say some of this shit. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not oblivious to the idea that yeah, we also know that we're gonna be able to get more females with it, just because we know what females like. We're just obvious to the shit. You know what I'm saying? To we're real world, what goes on in the real world. But that doesn't mean that we do these things in order and only to have a status and to get women. People love art. People appreciate a nicely built home. People appreciate a well-built house. People appreciate an amazing looking yacht. People appreciate a little boat that you can just paddle on to, but people appreciate a yacht and a yacht party. Pouring liquor on bitches, okay?
And one thing we know about oppressed people, when you can enjoy true freedom, you surround yourself with the symbols of that freedom.
How do we know that? How do we know that oppressed people surround themselves with symbols from that? Just because of what we see? Because what I see is still, again, niggas that don't be wearing all this stuff. I can go walk around this place right now, go walk around my downtown area right now. At nighttime, during club hours, yeah, you might see some niggas out there freshed up. But again, keep looking. Go look in a line, your average club line. You got niggas that can't get in half the time at the club because of what they got on. Most of them are not really club attire ready. And we see this all the time. Niggas got to go throw dress codes up and enforce it all the time. And you telling me that you see niggas dripping in the most Gucci of Gucci. Come on, dude. Niggas is walking in all the time with football jerseys and fucking jeans and Chucks. Come on, dude. And none of that outfit costs you nothing.
And that's why the Louis bag is so important. That's why our children will kill for Air Jordans. It's not the sneaker. It's what it represents.
Right.
And
it's not the sneaker, it's what it represents. No, nigga. No. What it is, had to come back to me for a second, is a nigga see somebody, come on, be real, a nigga see somebody walking down the street in some Jordans, and he's a what they call him? Stick-up kid. You don't really hear that no too much more, but he's a person that likes to rob people. You know, he's one of them people that, some of the easiest things to rob people of are things that you can see that are worth money. And what do you see that's worth money? People's jewelry, people's shoes. Those are $250 shoes that people will pay $250 for if they can get them shoes off of them. They don't see. What do you say that they see?
This is
No,
my
go
flood
back.
salvage.
that's ironic. That means I can only add value to what it represents.
Right.
And if I believe I will kill for Air Jordans, it's not the sneaker. It's what it represents.
Right.
And if I believe I'm worthless, that means I can only add value to myself by what I put on my body as opposed.
People ain't jacking people for them Jordans to wear them. They jack them so they can sell them and make $200 and go pay for something. Because they don't like that nigga walking down the street in some Jordans. It's the same reason why people jack your car. It's something they can see. Oh, that nigga rolling in a Mercedes now? Okay, I got that. That ain't really how they always do, but that's how they do. It's not this whole intricate fucking, oh, I was oppressed and so I gotta go get my status up by getting, I'm gonna jack this nigga for his Jordans and I'm gonna walk around in the Jordans that I jacked him for the status and to raise my, some of these, you know, and it ain't like, I don't like Dr. Umar all the way, to be honest with you. Like, he can say some stuff sometimes that's kind of cool, and then other times it's just kind of like, come on, dude. Like, Okay. That's the end of that. So I'm going to play one more video about, and this is going to be Boyce Watkins and Philip.
Masters, former masters,
And this
you know,
is,
we
again, us internalizing the problem and blaming ourselves.
Joined by Dr. Boyce Watkins. We are very happy for him to join us on our platform. Dr. Watkins, thank you for joining us and welcome to the program.
absolutely, brother. It's my pleasure to be here, and you know, I love the advice show. I appreciate you guys inviting me on. Thank you.
Well, we wanted to, since you are a financial guru within our community, and we need to pick your brain on some things today in the area of finance. So most people see the title, you know, we have a $1 trillion buying power, but in the black community, we don't benefit from it at all. Why is that?
Because black people are very good at giving their money away. We love
Straight to it because we just good. We're good at giving our money away.
we love supporting our masters.
We love supporting our masters. It's all this buzzwordisms that has to go out there. Phraseisms. Okay. Let me pick at all the phrases I've heard. Okay, so it's we love supporting our masters. Oppression breeds greed. It's systemic issues within our own. You know, it's just.
Masters, you know, it's a habit, it's a tradition that we've had for hundreds of years. You know,
It's a habit of tradition we've had for hundreds of years. How do you know? What do you mean, hundreds? We couldn't even spend much money back in the day. Back in the day, we had to create our own. Well, what are you saying? What do these people be saying? What do you mean for hundreds of years? Listen to what you say. Think of.
and to put it more simply, people don't understand the power of money. We have not been trained to understand what money really is. Money is actually capital.
Ooh, money is actually capital. Ooh, fiat is fiat. That's how them niggas try to hit you with a different, so really it's fiat currency. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is. It's just gold. It ain't even backed by gold no more. You know what I'm saying? You don't know nothing about the greenbacks. You know, we need to go back to the gold standard. You know what I'm saying? Capitalism and what? Shut up.
Is something that is supposed to be used to help you make more money. Meaning,
so money is capital, and it's supposed to be used to help you make more money. A medium of exchange in the form of coins and banknotes. Coins and banknotes collectively, sons of money, the assets, property, and resources owned by someone or something as well. Money is a currency medium of exchange in the form of money and banknotes. It is not capital. Let's just see what capital is. Wealth in the form of money or other assets owned by a person or organization or available or contributed for a particular purpose, such as starting a company or investing. So in a sense, yes, when you say is money in the form of money and or assets, and it can be used to start money, but money itself is a means of exchange. Now, you can do business without money. If I grow this and you grow that, we can exchange it. If I create steel and you need it and you create some kind of chemical product, we can exchange that. We're doing capitalism right there without the use of money. Money is utilized to help us exchange those things a little bit better. Or also to store your wealth in order to continue in the capitalistic system of exchanging things. So in a sense, he's right. But at the same time, it's just like you're not really saying anything. That's not the only reason. Well, I mean, he's saying the reason why it's used is to start a business, but that's not the only reason it's used. Otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting out here trying. I mean, in a sense, you got to use it to eat. You got to use it to live. You got to use it to get certain services done. You got to use it. You know, it's not just to make money. It's to also sustain your ability. as life forms on this planet, we have certain things that we have to do. We have to eat, we have to drink, we have to defecate, we have to live somewhere, we have to sleep, we have to do all these things, and we have facilitated this money system in order to help us better do certain things in that realm. And we use a capitalistic society in order to help facilitate the exchange of goods and services to help us better do that. Like, I bought a bed in order to help me sleep, right? Somebody made a business for a bed. They took the money to make the business for a bed. I paid money to get the bed so I can sleep, not so I can do a business. It's not just a one-sided thing.
For example, if I take
Otherwise, we'd all just be making money and nobody's spending it with each other. The circulation of those dollars is very, very, very important in the economy. The spending of those dollars, not circulating, fuck that. The spending of those dollars are very, very much more important than investing. Because if nobody's spending, nigga, what are you business? What kind of business do you have? Come on now.
I buy a building and some trucks in a factory. I'm not buying it so I can just live in the factory. I'm buying it so I can use the factory to make money, right? Or if I buy a cow, I buy the cow so I can get the milk and sell the milk. Well, that's what money is. Money's supposed to be a form of capital that helps you make more money over the long term. It's not supposed to be a form of consumption. Consumption is when
you have to eat, right? That's consumption. It's not supposed to be a form of consumption. You have to eat. You need electricity. You consume that. Is that not a form of consumption? My motherfucking electric bill come here every day. Not every day. Every month. I don't have to use capital money in order to pay that. That which I consumed. It's niggas just say anything.
The money, and you say, okay, now I can make even more trips to the mall. The biggest.
The only thing you talk about us is now you can say now you can go to the mall more. You ain't gonna talk about all the other money we spending on regular, schmegular things. Shout out Cardi B. I don't like that, but still.
First examples I can think of, man, are cases of like athletes who've never been trained on financial literacy, who will literally earn $100 million over, say, a 10.
Let me tell you about this athlete who earned $100 million and just blew all this money. The average person makes $40-some thousand a year, nigga. They not blowing hundreds of millions. You gonna compare a $40-some thousand nigga to a $100 millionaire. Nigga, of course I'ma spend if I got $100 million. Nigga, I got 100 mil. Now, of course, it would be better for that dude with the 100 million to spend his money more wisely on assets and things that's gonna build wealth even more, as well as he's still gonna consume. He's still gonna buy a Bugatti, and you can't shame him for buying a goddamn Bugatti.
Of your period, and will just engage in extravagant amounts of spending that just don't make any sense. And what they don't understand is that when you have that kind of capital on that level, like somebody gives you $100 million, you can turn that into $1 billion in a generation by putting it in the right place. So just reframing how we think about money can be huge in terms of changing the game for us a generation or two from now.
Now let me ask you, it's something that I've said.
So you're not gonna, because you don't know how to do it, you're not gonna go into details. Let me tell you about this athlete. He had $100 million, and if you take that $100 million, you could really turn that into $1 billion over a generation. But that's just not what they do. It's just like me telling you got $5 in your pocket, man. You really could turn that into $50,000 if you really wanted to. But I guess you're gonna go buy that meal to eat tonight. Like, come on, dude. You ain't tell a nigga how he could take this $5 and make 50 grand. You just gonna throw it out there. It's just easy. If you had 100 mil, motherfuckers have also lost 100 million trying to go after more money too. Now, don't get me wrong. Look at the face he making right there. Ugly ass Boyce Watkins face. don't get me wrong. I still think we should take chances and make sure I'm always going to be the type of person that advocates for building businesses and building wealth and doing better. But I'm not just going to throw simple little surface level vague shit on top. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to tell you exactly ways that you can do it. If you got $100 million, you may think about opening up a hotel, if you can find space. But you know what? I wouldn't even really think about that right now. I mean, unless you found the perfect situation, because a lot of that shit is dominated by certain companies, certain ethnicities actually out there. The East Asians typically dominate the hotels in the United States. But either way, you could take that $100 million and either invest in the different types of businesses. I mean, to be honest, I would have to go into different types of businesses and go into numbers, and I could do that. I would really talk about opening up a national chain of, let's just say mobile car washes, opening up a chain of and having them SEO based to where they're always at the top of the search engines, or doing some white label products and really going hard on certain particular products and certain advertising and things of that nature. But building a subdivision. You can talk about going into real estate, building a subdivision to take about 50 million or 75 million, whatever. Build up some homes and sell those homes and whatever. There's multiple ways, and to try to make more money. But even I don't have all the ways, but I can come up with even some more ways. But even those have lots of obstacles. You're gonna have to do a lot of research. You can't just take some nigga that just plays ball and he all of a sudden he can just take his $100 million and he all of a sudden he's a fucking real estate developer. It just doesn't plan out. It just doesn't pan out that way.
Many times before, black people are the most vain people I know, because we will spend our last on the most expensive stuff and we can't afford it. Why is it that we will
spend our last on the most expensive stuff and we cannot afford it? Where do you get that from?
people have to have the best car? Now, let me ask you, it's something that I've said. Why is it that we as black people have to have the best car, the best clothes, the best?
Because it looks good, because we want it, because we don't want to look like shit. We don't want to walk around here looking raggedy. We ain't never liked looking raggedy. Looking back at my old photos of my family, they didn't like looking raggedy. Why do we do this? Because we don't like looking raggedy.
The best shoes, but yeah, when you go in a person's house, like say some of these single guys, they got all these nice clothes, but then they're sitting on a soapbox inside of their apartment, but they look good. Why is that we have our...
No, that's different. Nobody says that shit to the white dudes that do it all the time. And they don't even look good when they do it either. There's plenty, that's just the normal bachelor life. I can almost guarantee you him, if I was to question him, hey nigga, when you were 21, 22, 23, 24, what the hell kind of living situation did you have, nigga? I know me and most everybody else and women. When you get your first apartment, nigga, there's a TV and an air mattress. And you're lucky if you get anything else. You build it up as you get in there. Some people are lucky enough to have a little bit of bread in order to do that, but I'm gonna build it up. But while I'm building it up, while I'm there and using my work, you going to work every day, I'm not gonna be dressed raggedy. I'm still gonna be dressed in the clothes that I already had, probably from school or probably from wherever, whatever. And I still may buy an outfit or two, while I build this up. Why are we shaming people for a few dollars?
Our priorities are screwed up financially.
Because some of us grow up believing deeply in instant gratification and doing things that make you feel good. Like you think about a brother who's got, 10 kids and 8 babies mamas. This is clearly not a person who has engaged in long-term thinking or critical thinking. What have they been doing? They've been basically doing what feels good. She looks cute. I'm gonna go have sex with her. And the condom, I don't like this condom, so I'm gonna take it off. Boom. Next thing you know, you got a bunch of kids and maybe a bunch of diseases to go with it. Well, the same thing is true when it comes to money. You got some people that think about money as a quick hit. It's like a drug. It's like I got this money now. I can go get this outfit that's gonna make me feel better about myself. I can get this car that's gonna make me feel like I'm somebody. I can go drop this money at the club, which is gonna make me feel like I'm a successful, important person. And a lot of that really is built on not just the instant gratification component, but also low self-esteem. Black people.
He just correlated the way that we spend and act with the way a nigga with 8 kids gets STDs and takes off his condom and all this shit and that the horrible words and phrases and theology that these people, not theology or ideology or whatever, that these people are putting out there is insane, dude. It's insane. That dude has nothing to do. A dude with 8 kids and shit couldn't compare to me and most of the people and black people I know. There's a white dude out there with just as many kids. Many of them. Not as many probably because they're not as fertile as black people are. You know, death rates and everything, and I mean birth rates of them, you know, ain't been the best. But this is how we speak. This is how we speak about ourselves this way.
Don't love ourselves. We don't love our lives. When your life is miserable and you feel stressed out all the time and you don't feel good about yourself,
you suck. You don't love your life. You miserable. You spin horribly. It's all your fault, nigga. It's your fucking fault, and it ain't gonna never change because you suck. Good God, these people are idiots.
well, money can kind of be like a temporary way to kind of boost that up a little bit, just like smoking a hit of crack. Think about it. People.
Now you're comparing it to smoking a hit of crack. Boyce Watkins is the worst, and then he why would these are the things that people compare black people to? Fuck, dude.
You know, they get high on drugs. A lot of times they do it to escape their problems. So spending money, having the nicest this and the nicest that might be a way to kind of cover up and mask the fact that you're not happy with your life, you're not happy with yourself, and then once again, just not even understanding the power of that money goes a long way in causing that to happen. Last piece I'll throw in there too is just hopelessness. Hopelessness.
Hopeless,
if
nigga.
you feel that your
You got
destiny
hope.
is to be broke, you know, like you said, hey,
I'm left with the hope. Okay. You know, I'm gonna get off this, and because I want to get into these things before I lose battery power on some of this shit. So first off, first. Let's pull up a calculator. Let's do this math, people. Pew Research. Okay? Let's look at some facts. The population is 47.2 million as of 2021. Okay? On average, we make about median household income of 46 grand. Where does this money and this spending power come from? And first of all, before I get into that, we all know $46,000 ain't no money. It's hard to live completely on that. As a single person, you'll do okay. As a family with one person making that, you're not doing great. We know this. It shouldn't even be much of a fucking question, right? That's less than $1,000 a week. It's like, and then after taxes, that's probably like about a $600 a week check. $600 to $700 a week check. That's no money. It's gonna take 2.5 of those damn near to pay your rent, depending on where you stay in. So, and you still got other bills, car, food, cell phone, and people get on to you about having an iPhone. You can't pay $20 a month on a plan extra just to get an iPhone. Oh, nigga. See, if you got that iPhone, nigga, it's your fault. Now, why am I bringing this up about the 46,000? Because if you do the goddamn math, 47 million people, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, yeah, times the national average of what we make is $2.1 trillion. 2.2. That's where the number comes from. We don't make that much money. The average family makes 46 grand. Population is 47 million. Obviously, kids aren't working. There's a lot of people in there that's not working, so it can be tweaked. But that number comes from our buying power, $2.1 trillion, is only because we make $46,000 a year. White folks have like $100-something trillion or something in wealth, or 200-something trillion, or whatever it is. We got 2.1, but when you say it by itself, sounds like a lot. Y'all niggas got 2.1 trillion that you're not spending, man. Y'all spending it frivolously. It's just going out the door. We're spending it on our everyday needs in many cases. Let's pull up something about that. Article, Systemic Racism from the Washington Post. Systemic racism, not $200 Air Jordans, suppresses black wealth. They already start off with the premise that I'm actually in favor for. We're going to go down here. In fact, let me just double check. I pulled up a couple little spots here. Population and income that we're going to go through. Oh, yeah. Right. Now, here's one spot. White families have the highest level of median and mean family wealth, $188,200 and $983,400, according to the 2019 Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances. That's their wealth. Median is 188, the mean is 983. Black families' median and mean wealth is less than 15% of whites at $24,000 and $142,000. Completely different. Looking at the expenditures, black households spend an average on $639 on spent $639 on footwear in 2019, compared to $419 for all households, according to the Labor Department 2019 Consumer Expenditure Survey. When it came to women and girls' clothing, black households spent $784 compared to the national average of $704. So this is kind of where they say we spend a little bit more than everybody else. But as you look at the number, nigga, are you going to become financially free if you spend $200 less a year on average? Is it per year? Spend an average of $600. If you don't spend let's say you don't buy no footwear, are you gonna find yourself getting to a better wealth state, a better state, economic state? I'm sorry, by not spending $639 a year? And let's add on some extras. Let's add on, if you don't spend the $784 on the clothes per year, and some other shit. You might be able to save, let's say you can somehow get up in there and save $2,000 a year. Nigga, what kind of wealth you building that $2,000 a year in savings? 10 years to give you $20K, you just made your down payment money for your 30-year mortgage that I talked about in the beginning. You see how we circle back around to that? First, you had to cut out all the shit, though. Then you can save up some extra money and you can get that house, that 30-year mortgage, after 10 years of saving up $2,000 once you cut back on the little things here. But again, she's showing here that she's not on the side of that we spend too much. She's on the side that we don't spend too much. She's showing the facts. It's not that much more money. That's not going to put us at some, dope economic state. There was something else in here. White families, blah, 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 blah. It's more likely that higher spending by blacks is a result of status signaling. Everybody keeps throwing that in there, the status. He argues, it's an economic theory akin to some of the grandmother drilling to me. You have to be as twice as good to get half as much. Status symbols for families with the biggest. I'm unaware of any credible economic study published in a reputable economic journal that has demonstrated that once you control your income, white people save more than blacks, said Hamilton. I remember families today whose parents weren't denied participation. Okay. I can't remember. There was some other thing in here I thought I saw that was good to read off. But we're going to get to the next thing, which is a Forbes article here. Again, I'm trying to beat the battery right now. The $300 billion Black American consumerism bag breeds big business opportunities. So this is, again, another one of those articles that's true. Because when people want your money, yeah, they're putting shit out there. Yeah, you got money they want. But they're in the fields and industries that control things that are of necessity. Homes, electricity, food, gasoline, certain goods and services that people get on a normal basis. And they're going to talk about that in here as well as some of the things that you need on a regular basis. But let's go down to here, the breakdown that you need to know. In 2019, consumer expenditures by black households totaled approximately $835 billion. Now, we saw that there was $2.1 trillion that we have to spend. I don't know where to get this $835 billion number, but let's just say that's about a third of what we have, of what we make. And so they're looking there, they're eyeing that third or portion. It's almost close to half. So maybe about a third or so, but a little over a third. But they're eyeing that, that $835 billion in combined. But again, that's not a lot. What you're looking at, $835 billion. $835 millions, billions. $835 billion divided by 47 million. Is saying that we have on average $17,765 a year to spend in spending power. So 17,800, let's just say 17,800, right? $17,800 is what we have to spend left over according to them out of the 47,000. And you divide that by 12. We got $1,483 a month, according to them, that we can spend. Now, what are they talking about? They want us to spend that $1,483 a month on. And that's being pretty generous. Like, to say that they have that much money, if you make it $46,000, you typically ain't got $1,400 extra just kind of laying around, typically, every month. But in combined spending of black households has increased 5% annually over the past 2 decades. when you read that African Americans have 1.4 trillion in spending power, it's an incredibly impressive number. It's an incredibly impressive number. I hate when these people do that. Even more so when you realize that that's more money than Spain, Mexico, Netherlands, Turkey, or Switzerland generate annually. It's nearly unimaginable, okay? Nearly unimaginable to think that the collective purchasing power of Black Americans is greater than the most developing nations. It's not. It's $46 million a year. Black buying powers. Black consumers have a major influence on spending. With luxury items like watches, Black people amount for $60 million of the $385 million in overall spending. And you be like, man, y'all spend money on watches like that? But again, when you divide that by 47 million, let's just say you divide that by 10 million. That's barely, it's still not a lot. It's barely $600 on watches. If it's 10 million people spending that much money on watches, and it's not that. As for women fragrances, they represent $151 million for a 1/7. Now, if anything, we should be looking at these numbers in a good way because yes, they are impressive numbers, but impressive and great if we can formulate solutions and ideas on how we can take advantage of that ourselves in order to in order to harness the economic power that kind of capitalism has to bring. What do I mean by that? Mainly, if fragrances make $151 million per year out of our community, how can we find 40 businesses that can get started up to at least make $1 million a year and take a lot of their market share? $40 million of that should go toward Black business owners, and they should be able to make $1 million a year each off of the fragrances. Or you could say half. You could say, I said 40, 80 people make $500K and be some of the top. You can put 2 of them in each state. It's 50 states, whatever. Put 100 people maybe, and let them be the top people for the country, for those states that people go to for fragrances. Especially now, with the internet and everything like that, we can have multiple people put in different kind of positions, let them go, and especially today, you can just white label, private label, anything. You want to make a fragrance, look on goddamn Alibaba, AliExpress, whatever. Alibaba, AliExpress, or whatever, and you'll be able to make one pretty easy. You'll be able to find any kind of company. You can find some here in the United States. Look at this. We'll just do this shit real quick. USA-based private label women's fragrances, women's perfumes. I mean, there's people running goddamn ads for the shit right here. They're running ads. If somebody's running an ad, that really means they want you to be a private label company. I mean, yeah, they want you to purchase their private label shit and make your own brand. I'm not going to click on their ads. Let's go down a little bit further. ATL fragrance, alt fragrances. How does it work? Private label program. Choose from one of our range of experts. They got a 20% off. And selling sins. Develop a custom label and packaging for your brand. Number 3, get in your customized fragrance packages and ready to start distributing in as low as 50 pieces. They'll start you as 50 pieces. So here, private label sampling set, $79. Get your little sample set, whatever. You know what I'm saying? You could be on your way to starting your own fragrance company and go ahead and try to be the one that is getting all that market share from the Black folks within your own community. And they'll just pick you one. Just pick you a supplier. Go through, do your research. This place looks like it's a database full of suppliers. I had to think about the word for that. So on and so forth. Same thing. What else did they say? Watches. Let's say private label luxury watch. Let's not say USA based, but these places, some of those USA based. Private label Luxury watches. They running ads for the shit. They'll make the watch. Your logo, timeless, Swiss-made, custom-branded logo watches to promote your business or brand. Recognition, gifts, or awards, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you don't even have to make anything anymore by hand. I'm going to go back to this. I'm going to start to wrap this up because battery power is going low. But you don't even have to create the brand fully. I mean, you do the brand, but you don't have to create the product yourself these days. You can just place orders, customize some stuff, put yourself out there. And it may not say, to you, some people may be like, oh, that's cheating, or you getting it from China, or whatever. That's what everybody does. That's how the world works. That's how a global economy works. It's time for you to participate. You know what I'm saying? And it should actually be better quality because you're not getting it from somebody making it at the house. Right now, we got a lot of entrepreneurs that just make shit at the house and then they take it to the motherfucking farmers markets and try to sell the body butter that they use with their blender, the same blender they made smoothies with, right? But at the same time, I'm cool with that. I'm not knocking that whatsoever. But you also could just pay a company who has a whole machine, bottling and everything else and all this other stuff, and they've been doing it for years, and they do it for other companies, and you can make your own specific brand. What's the difference between all the brands at the grocery stores and yours? Nothing other than yours. You just putting yours out there. Difference in the formula maker, you know, they might have certain things that you might want to do that maybe you could tweak formulas if you're trying to sell food or fragrance formula or something like that, if they allow you to do certain things to make it unique. But for the most part, you just got to sell something that people actually will like. That's the main thing. Will they like it? But the thing is, again, to bring this all back, what we were talking about is, do black people really have $2.1 trillion to spend? No, because we have to spend it on necessities. Plus, part of that $2.1 trillion is going toward taxes. But then you got to spend it toward necessities. So my thing was trying to figure out a way that black people can be the necessities, have businesses that are given those necessities. There should be a way for you to get into products. You can private label a lot of things. Now, we may not be able to start our own electrical company, but we might be able to start a division that is an affiliate of an electrical company that gets high commissions from said sales to the company, and all the black people go to those people. And that's where you get your electricity from. And even though they're just a liaison or a middleman in between you and you know, your city electric, they're still going to be able to make a lot of profits off of things that you need, especially if there are some residual commissions within that. Same thing with trying to get people for life insurance or, you know, maybe for cable and internet. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times there's new ways to come up with websites and be able to maybe contract, or maybe I'm pretty sure I can probably find a way to contract to be able to offer these certain streaming services and shit like that for a particular fee, or to be able to white label like a Netflix company might have a white label streaming service that you can put your own branding on of some sort. You just got to Google and find it. But the thing is, we got to make things that people need and are already spending money on, and then they can just flip that $50 they're already spending to you. But if you're trying to make them buy juices, and juices are good, but if they don't already drink juice and already ain't spending money on juices or jewelry or beads or body butters and whatever the case, then it's not going to sustain. It's not going to be they're not going to be able to continuously buy from you all the time because they're going to have extra capital. So we got to try to take over the things that we need. We got to stop blaming ourselves like these people do and try to say that it's our problem, it's our fault. No, it's systemic from all the history from white supremacy that got us into this. You know what I'm saying? And our ancestors fought hard and built up a lot of shit that got either sabotaged, deception was used in order to take it away from us, or slavery, or whatever the case may be. So many things without getting into all that. All I'm saying is we don't need to internalize problems that we ain't got. Do we have 2.1 trillion to spend? Fuck no. But we do have some money to spend. And if we do spend more wisely, more smart, then yeah, that'd be better. But we have to come up with the ways to do that, the smart ways to do that. Not just assets and houses and fucking stupid stocks and all that shit and Bitcoin and whatever. Real tangible items and things that we're looking and doing daily. And the options are available to us now. You used to have to fly to China, go find you a supplier, have the access. You need a passport. You need be frequently going back and forth. You didn't even need to know where to go. You didn't even know it existed. You know, these white folks have been able to globalize the world for quite some time with the information and stuff they've been able to send back and forth to each other, you know, through all those days. But now with the, you know, internet and things like that, everybody, the world is online, so you can find a whole lot more items and things that you need and ways to make things happen that you couldn't before. So appreciate anybody that may have tuned in, which nobody did. I love you anyway, you know what I'm saying? Why is that so far behind? It is what it is. But, you know, this your boy, Chef Bay. I'll be back again. I don't know what the next topic is going to be, but I'm going to be cutting clips of this and putting up the clips and all that stuff. But I hope I've kind of demystified this whole $2.1 trillion. So next time you hear it from anybody, you be like, nigga, okay, yeah, $2.1 trillion. Oh, we got to spend it better. Oh, okay, it's our fault. Oh, okay, we're not spending our money. No, nigga, we got $40-some thousand a year. We don't have no wealth built up in the bank account because there was no generational wealth passed down. So now we're sustaining our life with inflation at $46,000 a year on average, which is not allowing us to build wealth. You can't stack a lot of money, you know what I'm saying, in order to build. I ain't gonna lie, I'm independent now and I got my own business, but it was hell, you know what I'm saying, getting to this point. And it took a lot of smart thinking, but it's not hard. It's really not hard. It was harder in the beginning before certain things came out. Today's time it's a lot more easier than it used to be. I'm getting more warnings about my battery, so I'm gonna be signing off. Appreciate you checking up with your boy Chef Bay. And don't let them tell you that we make 2.1 trillion. Tell them it ain't our fault that we don't spend our money right. We spend our money right. Kiss my ass. Niggas ain't wearing Gucci like that. Just because you see some of them wear it don't mean that they got closets full of Gucci. Okay. Still, and even if they got closets full of Gucci, it still don't mean that your average person has closets full of Gucci. Black people out here are trying to do their best, and they're trying to move forward. Without having access to capital, loans, forgiveness loans, all this other shit, it's gonna make it a lot harder for us. And it has. And we're moving past it. And I love the resilience of my people. And I'm gonna continue to fight and continue to make sure that I play a part in helping us move forward. It's your boy Chef Bay.